let me maybe give some introduction for the people that are going to watch this session afterwards or are joining the session today regarding who you are. So Paul, once again, thank you very much for joining the session today. Just maybe a quick intro on Frogeex. Frogeex is a green tech marketplace. We're a new company starting basically in 2021, and we want to connect and bring together experts and companies from various sectors in terms of sustainable living, sustainable building, and apparently energy is a big topic, very important for sustainable living in the future. And that's, I believe, also the big reason why we are here together. Many thanks again for accepting the invitation to be part of this discussion. And just to give the audience some information about yourself. So Mr. Paul Webb, you're a well-respected leader in terms of energy efficiency, energy as a topic. With when I was researching your profile, I was quite amazed with 41 years of experience in the energy field. So really basically being there from hands-on experience of maintenance, starting with as an apprentice in a nuclear power plant, going through different organization types as well, always taking care about implementation, maintenance, development of energy management systems. So really different perspectives that you went through, that you had also possibilities to gain experience from. And as of 2014, I saw that with the Energy Impact Limited company, you started to be more and more engaged as a low carbon consultant in terms of energy matters. That is absolutely the link also to our topics to sustainable living in the future. So also super interesting what you are doing right now, talking about B2B energy consulting services, as well as joining the Clean Energy Revolution Group, which is apparently an international network of energy experts taking care of developing and deploying renewable energy systems all around the globe, which is a fantastic project. And last but not least, I would definitely come to Aumlink, which is your latest project, also as we see nicely on the logo in your background. So also a super interesting project connecting energy experts internationally, sharing their knowledge and experience also further in the community. So really impressive CV. And what I think is also a little bit the feature of a leader in a specific area is you are always reinventing yourself, always looking for new challenges, new projects. And I think a big validation of this is also your podcast, which you launched in terms of energy talks back with the weekly updates on energy with different experts, also exchanging on opinions on trends, etc. So really impressive. And last item on the list of your activities, which is pretty broad as the audience can see, is you are also an established author of books and publications in the area, of course, of energy management, which is very helpful also for energy experts or upcoming energy experts that are being trained in this field. So yeah, much appreciate you taking time being today here with us. Just also that you have a little bit of time to give some feedback on the broad list of what you do.
I've always got I've always got time for the will to discuss energy management, and thank you for the opportunity for inviting me today.
Yeah, a great pleasure, Paul. Absolutely to have you here. And so, what is the big reason why we are here together? Actually, what's the situation that we're seeing now worldwide? So especially also in Europe, we see that the energy prices are increasing. That is a big pain that we see all around the place. We know it's triggered by then increase in terms of price of natural gas, some geopolitical interests that are also mixing up a little bit the situation, some drops in the wind energy production, as well as an increase in demand for electricity, if we can call it in the post-COVID phase, yeah. And yeah, so we see that this is an implication of this. The prices are projected also according to Tim Gore, the head of low carbon and circular economy of the European Institute for Environmental Policies, the prices are just projected. They will potentially increase also, especially when looking at the season we're heading into, wintertime, where apparently you have higher demand for heating, etc. So what does it actually mean if we see this as a problem for private households? A big challenge where we need to give them support. It's eventually also a problem for smaller enterprises or enterprises in general. Now, what does it mean to be, when we talk especially about energy efficiency, for a business to be energy efficient? What's the big why and how to achieve it? Maybe you can tell us more about this.
Definitely. May I share my screen?
Definitely.
So while you're doing that, energy is organizations' third largest expense. So it is a very key area. Doesn't matter whether you're a small shop, a corner shop, or an office block, you will be subjected to costs regarding your energy, and it would work out around about a third of your cost. So basically, after your properties and after your people, then comes energy. And when I talk about energy, I incorporate gas, electric, and water into that equation.
Hopefully it works now with the sharing.
Yes, we're sharing.
Took me a while, you know.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you very much for this opportunity. And I know you've given me a very, thank you for that introduction. I will touch a little bit more on that to just go into the detail side of it and what we're trying and delivering across the world regarding B2B Energy and regarding Aumlink, regarding these companies really sharing knowledge for the future regarding energy management. And yes, it does help organizations, SMEs and large organizations. And it also does, the stuff we're putting together does help the household. So that's where it really all begins. So, so good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, obviously, wherever you're listening to this presentation. Once again, thank you. And I'll just elaborate a little bit more on my introduction. So I am a founder of B2B Energy, and I'm also the host of Energy Speaks Back, which is my podcast. And yes, 41 years. In fact, it's going to go to 42 years in the new year. I always have a little bit of a joke about this. I always say I started in this industry when I was 4, but everyone's getting to hear my presentations, and that joke's getting a bit old now. So yes, I started when I left school. And I'll say I've saved in the region of £1 billion of kilowatt hours across all the different organizations I've worked with. Yes, I'm on author regarding becoming an energy expert, which is my first book I put together. And then very quickly during the lockdown period, I was writing articles every week for LinkedIn. And I decided to publish those because there's a lot of insights there regarding helping people at home and working from home during the pandemic. And lastly is the 11-week energy program, which I'll touch on today regarding the 4 principles of energy management. So, why now, why me? So when I was 18, so I left school and I started working in coal-fired power stations. And I must admit, they were the most dirtiest, horriblest places to work because there was so much coal dust everywhere. Used to get all in your body. We, showered every sort of lunchtime and in the evening. It was a very dirty place to work. And then when I was 18, I was allowed to go to the nuclear power station, which was my mother power station, because of legislation and things regarding age limits. And that is really where I started to sort of understand that energy is very precious. I used to walk around the power stations late at night and the turbine hall, and I used to hear the turbines screaming, and they didn't stop screaming all day long. And I used to think, why are they screaming at this time of night? Why are people using energy? Why is businesses operating at this time of night? And, I just really started to understand that energy is really precious to us. And, I knew how much effort it took for us to put into those turbines actually operating like that. And on a regular basis, I would be driving through protesters, trying to stop us from going to work and generating nuclear power. And they could, they used to lay in front of our cars, stopping us from going to work. Quite an interesting time, an exciting time. So my quick career process, really, after leaving school, I worked at the nuclear power station. I studied electrical electronics, engineering, and then working. There was no jobs within the energy, within the engineering areas. So I had to really expand out of there. And that's when I decided to take my first steps into energy management, where I worked for the Met Police as an energy officer. And then shortly after that, I worked for Trend, who are now Honeywell, and Satchwell, who are now Schneider. And then after sort of gaining all that knowledge and working within businesses and managing a big portfolio of customers and people, I decided to set my own business up at the age of 44. And I founded my company, B2B Energy. And B2B Energy has gone through various different transitions regarding businesses. We've merged with people, unmerged, etc. But really predominantly now what we do, we provide global energy brand. We have global energy expert groups. I've become a global speaker, obviously author. I host my own podcast, and I'm board member of various different businesses, including Clean Energy Revolution. And obviously I'm a board member of Aumlink as of today. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of resources out there that we can provide and teaching regarding the energy industry. And you can tap into any of this whilst you're sort of trying to understand more about it. And when you look at the theme I put together, I simplify energy management. And I believe that energy management needs to be simplified. Don't make it complex. It's a journey. We need to take small baby steps towards what we need to achieve. And the way I've set out my learning programs are that I have my website where there's lots of insights and information on. There's a podcast where there's I interview experts from around the world providing their insights. Obviously, LinkedIn is my office. I have in the region of 22,000 people follow me currently, where I post insights in energy management and I bring people together. It's a very large network. And then there's my books. Now, all that's now been funneled down into Aumlink, which is a new platform we've just designed to bring all those experts together. And it's been my mission to bring energy experts together, holding hands and sharing knowledge across the world. And one thing I was saying now is that we all speak different languages, but we all speak that same language of reducing kilowatt hours, reducing emissions, and saving our planet. So what are the global problems? Mm-hmm. There are, energy is your third largest expense throughout businesses. Raising energy costs. Now, we have seen in the UK alone, cost increase by 250%, significant increases. We're not likely to see that come down. Mm-hmm. I had a podcast recently with David Loveday, who announced to me that this is going to be the new normal. And it's scary to think that these high prices are the new normal. There's a global need for net zero and zero emissions with all organizations. We haven't really got enough energy experts around the world to go and deliver this, that have got this knowledge. Mm-hmm. And climate change is looming and we are running out of time. So these are all the issues, and this is all the big cloud over us at the moment regarding this industry and what we need to achieve. Mm-hmm. So our journey really, where does it really need to start? Well, I've put together, as I said, I've simplified things. I've called it the art of energy management because it is an art. Mm-hmm. Whether you're an organization, whether you're an individual, whether you're looking at your home stuff, all this applies to your home.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
So first of all, we look at the A, okay, which is the awareness. And we look at review, realign, reduce, and report. Now, these are the 4 principles of energy management. Mm-hmm. So if we break that down further and we look at review, we're looking at reviewing. Think about when you're at home, think about in a business, you're going to review your bills today and every month. You know, just by looking at your bills and understanding your bills, they're very complex. They provide quite a confusing story, but once you really start to understand them, you can always bring in experts to look at those bills. But by reviewing your bills daily and on a regular basis, you get a better understanding for them, and you can start to make management decisions. Mm-hmm. We look very simply when we look at those bills, we look at the rates, we look at whether it's been estimated, and we look at whether it's been in contract. And I call that the rec. So it's like we do a recce on them bills. Mm-hmm. That makes yourself, and we look at, you know, the business starts to become more aware of their energy. We then start to look at the staff being more aware of the energy, not the billing, but how they're operating their energy. So we start to communicate to the staff about how we want to reduce our energy consumption. And simplistically, it's turning off lights, turning off air conditioning, you know, making adjustments into the building to make that difference. You know, not having any lights on when there's no one in the building, not having heating on when there's no one in the building, just those simple approaches. Mm-hmm. From the reviews, we then go into the realignment. So we realign the time clocks, we realign the billing systems, we realign the contracts, and we start looking at the AC system. So everything starts to get to be realigned. Mm-hmm. Once we've realigned, we're going to start to reduce and start driving that energy down. Mm-hmm. And then after we've driven the energy down, we're not just going to leave it there, we're going to report on it. And by reporting on it, we'll maintain it. And you'll hear me also say we cannot manage what we don't measure. So we need to measure all of this. So all of these 4 principles come into play. And to deliver the 4 principles, we've also, I'll just touch on this further. So look, once we've done the 4 principles, we've then got the reward. So there's going to be a reward from them 4 principles being delivered. So whether it be the organization getting the reward, whether us as an individual getting a reward, or the planet. And then lastly, part of the art of energy management is the customer training, the people training, and actually sort of continuing the momentum of training people to turn the lights off, training them to set points, etc. And then the experts training. This is, you know, all about lifelong learning and training people how to maintain all of this. So by taking the whole of this art of energy management together, we can go from A to B very simplistically. Now, we've got the principles. We now need a process to deliver that. And I've put together an energy management process that takes us through. I call it 11. It's an 11-week program. There's not 11 weeks there, which is a bit confusing, but part of the 11 weeks is the introduction and then the understanding of the 11-week, the process that we're putting in place. And then lastly, we actually do an exam on this as well. So this is why we call this our 11-week energy program. If I just touch on these 7 points, okay? Now, I'll just give you a quick overview of those 7 points, which are critical parts of the process of how we deliver the 4 principles. So we look at the meeting. So, you know, organizations need to have a meeting regarding what they're going to be doing this regarding energy management. Mm-hmm. We need the right people in the room, from, you know, decision makers regarding the board, all the way down to people that are going to actually make the difference. Once we've done the meeting, we then need to plan, and the plan needs to take into consideration the scope of the organization, the barriers that we're likely to expect. You know, when we're talking about barriers, have we got, you know, is it a hospital? Have we got to sort of be aware of all the patients? Is it a highly secured property where we have to be aware of all the security within the building? Mm-hmm. There could be various different issues here regarding the barriers to what we're looking at. But they all need to be understood for us to go and deliver this program. Once we've taken the planning consideration, we then look to provide data. So we need to understand how the data is working, and we need to start the profiling. At this stage, for me, One, it's the most challenging because we have to pull all that data together, but then it's the most rewarding when we come to profiling, because this is where we start to show visibility to the organization to how they're generating and utilizing their energy. We then come to the assessment, which is my favorite part. I love going to sites. I love working with the organizations, walking around, identifying opportunities to reducing energy. Sometimes it can be challenging where the organization isn't really aware that we're coming, but by the time we finish and work with them, we get a good understanding on how we can make a difference for them. And they can be simple approaches. And we look at no cost, medium cost, and capital cost. The no cost could be where we're going to go in and say, we could be turning more lights off in these areas. We could be changing the set points. Medium cost could be, we need to do some adjustments to their building and management system regarding controls. And then capital cost could be where we're going to invest in LED lighting, solar on the roof, insulation, etc. Maybe new windows.
Absolutely.
So we take all those measures and those proposals and we build a business case for the organization. Now that's critical because that needs to demonstrate cost, savings, and payback. Now,
so Paul, if I may interrupt you for a second. So two kind of very connected things, data and profiling. So what do you look at? I mean, do you look, for example, at operating hours of a building, or how do you, what kind of data do you look at more in detail, potentially also to help them?
So, very good question. So data for me can come in various different formats. It can come in meter readings. It can come in billing data. The best data to have is going to be the interval data for the meter. So we can look at profiling and look at how the building profiles out. The time-wise, what we're looking at, for me, best time to look at a building is when it isn't occupied, when it should be shut down. When it starts to open up, you know, I like to think there's a typical top hat, you know, where it's quite flat between midnight and 9 o'clock in the morning, comes up, where people start to come in the building, they do a day's work, go home at 5, should drop back off again. So that's what we should see, is some form of typical top hat. If we don't see that, we need to start drilling in and understanding why. It could be perfect reasons why that is. There could be high loads because there's security lighting. It could be high loads because there's servers or data. It's a data center and things like that. So we do look at, when we look at the profiling, we do analyze in line. We look at the data and then we look at the organization and bring the two together.
Understand.
So when, with the measures, going back to the measures, cost, savings, payback, we start putting these into simple forms for the finance director to make good management decisions and find out what the appetite is for them to invest in driving their energy down. Because at these stages, we could be looking at spend to save type projects. We put all of that into a action plan, and then we start working with the organizations to manage that action plan. And this is where we then start to take this to the next level, prioritize it, and then the implementation. This is where we start bringing in all the other experts. So there could be lighting experts, solar experts, heating experts, air conditioning experts, etc., that we would then bring in to actually look to implementation. When I look at this whole complete program, we must focus on this last point, because this last point is about implementation. What we don't want to be doing is creating loads of reports for organizations that are just going to gather dust. These have got to be action planned, and delivery has got to be top of our agenda. And implementation is key. And there's no point us as experts going around these buildings if we're not going to have in our back pocket solutions to deliver implementation. Jokingly, when I present this and on my training, I always say to everyone at every stage, this is the most important step. Well, every step that we take on this 11 weeks is important. And if you imagine we're building a tower block here of 11 stories, that first block, you know, the introduction is the foundations of what we're doing. If we don't get that right, what chance have our building got of standing if we don't get the foundations right? If we don't get that first floor together, what chance has the tower got? So each stage is the most important stage that we must follow.
And if we look at such a process, I mean, you mentioned 11 weeks now. Is it really the timeline when I'm not quite sure, and that's maybe also one of the following questions. When a client comes to you with a challenge, one of the problems they are facing, which you listed before, what is the timeline to have such a process implemented to basically have a solution done, or eventually see already some impact, some reductions, or some return on investments if there is some high costs of a solution that you propose or hire?
I can, for me personally, I've done some big organizations and some medium-sized organizations, and just recently we've been, it's just been at this stage where we've been making an impact at the meeting. Just looking at their half-hourly data and how they could work with that. You know, we've worked with an organization recently where we received their interval data. We had the meeting. I asked a simple question: do you work weekends, Saturday and Sunday? They said no. I said, your building is open at the weekends, demonstrating that you are working. So I showed them the graphs. They were horrified. I then asked them, have you got a BMS system? They said, yes. Can I look at the BMS system quickly? We looked at it. The times were set for that building to run at the weekend. And what we're finding is, you know, because of COVID, people have gone in, are now working from home more. So the offices aren't being used in the same format, but the BMS and the time clocks or whatever are all set the same. So very quickly, we could do a review on those to go and put them back. And it's a significant amount of savings that we made that organization. And we haven't even really been engaged into the 11 weeks as yet. So it's very quick. We can make impact very quick if we focus on it. But we need the data. We can't do it without the data. That's key.
Yeah. So it's also a certain preparation eventually needed before you enter an organization and flesh out the plan or the procedure on what it's going to happen, what's the aim.
Yeah, we have like a shopping list that we send into the organization to say, this is what we need. And, you know, in this particular case as well, what we were doing with the organization, we were focusing on two areas. We was focused on the procurement of energy, because we was in the middle of the prices all going up. We had to build them a very quick strategy to beat the energy crisis. And we were looking at energy management going forward. So we can't look at doing procurement if we're not going to manage the consumption. There's no point us procuring energy if we're not managing consumption, because we could do a really great deal and get the best prices, but then people could be leaving everything turned on. Yeah. Same for the energy management side. There's no point us doing energy management if you're not going to go back and look at how it's been procured, because we can do some fantastic, and I've had experience of both these. We can do some fantastic changes on the system and make some fantastic savings. But then there could be a mistake made on the procurement side, and we could be paying double the amount of energy. So it won't support each other. So we have to bring both those areas together. That is critical for the process.
Okay, so and now that's all clear. When we talk about procurement, so that's quite an interesting topic, because you mentioned also yourself, you look at various sources of energy, amongst others also renewable. So what you advise currently your clients? Is it a standard approach? Is it something that is extraordinary at the moment in terms of energy efficiency, to look straight also at sourcing, and also potentially looking at alternative sources? And what are the choices on the market? What is your experience as an expert advising your clients on this?
It does depend on the organization, obviously, here. And there are so many different variables regarding energy purchasing and the approach. my advice here, doesn't matter how you're going to, whether you want to buy green, whether you want to do self-generation and be more resilient, is to build a strategy first and have an understanding of what you're going to do regarding that strategy. I've worked with a large group recently, and this is 3 years ago, we started this program of generating, being more resilient, and it has actually paid off regarding that. Not only have we done the resilient side, we've also looked at being more of a strategy, build a better strategy regarding the procurement of it. So we had that decision over 3 years ago regarding how we was going to approach that. And when we hit this energy crisis, we were 2 steps ahead of that crisis. We are going to have issues probably further down the road of 2 years' time when we start coming out of those good decisions that were made 3 years ago. But what I'm saying is we as organizations have to focus on developing a strategy. The strategy needs to incorporate procurement and energy management, and that sometimes would need working, could be not just working with one expert, could be working with more than one expert, 2 or 3 experts regarding that. An expert to help you with manage, an expert to help you with self-generation, and an expert to help you procure it. But those 3 need to come together to manage that.
Okay, so if I hear you correctly, and if I understand you're right, what you're saying is that energy efficiency is part of the solution to the problem of climate change. So you cannot look at it, okay, let's start being more efficient with what we do, look at the elements, potentially change the setup because of the situation we are now in, but as well look at it from the procurement side and analyze first, what are eventually also the risks connected to changing the source of energy or the provider of the energy which you may choose. Okay.
And, you may want to choose that you want to buy green. Now, green energy always used to be a premium. We are seeing sometimes it is a premium to purchase green energy, but we are starting to see that balance better now, and we can get good procurement of green energy. There are other issues, complexities around energy procurement. One of them is your credit rating as an organization. The suppliers are very scared about taking on certain credit, and especially we've seen some big organizations actually be sort of disappear, not only suppliers but organizations disappear. Well, that creates a big ripple within the supply side of it, because you imagine a big organization suddenly stops trading. Well, that energy has already been purchased. So that energy has got to be used. If it doesn't get used, it has to be balanced, and then, if they've brought that energy high, they're having to sell that energy low. So that causes loads of issues. So there's a lot that goes on. It's not straightforward. That's why, I always say you need to engage with experts here, because they got their eyes on the future, and they can help put together strategies.
And if I may, when we are now talking also about the future and trends, etc. So what is, just the ratio or some kind of benchmark or feeling that you have now from your interactions with clients? How many are really interested into looking at green solutions, being eventually or utilizing the opportunity of being independent, energy independent, or looking at this type of solutions? Do you see some traction on the market already, or?
I'd say that the traction, it's quite funny. So I'm going to take you back 40 years, okay, when I was at the power station. We had no traction. No one had any idea regarding climate change or energy management. As the years have gone on, we've seen legislation. When we've seen legislation come in, the traction starts to increase. I remember I was working for Trend trying to sell energy bureau services. And it was very, very difficult. I must have knocked on 100 doors and everyone said, no, we're okay. You know, I'm making so much money in my business, I don't need to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
So that ratio of 100 has gone down and down and down and down regarding, and the amount of people opening the doors has gone up. So we've had the likes of the CRC, which is the carbon reduction commitment, mm-hmm. which was brought in. That drove, that drove people towards they need to do something about their energy. Mm-hmm. We've had ESOS, which is the European Directive, Energy Savings Opportunity Schemes. We've had that raise the levels. We've had now the streamlined, SECRA, which is another legislation, again, bringing more awareness and bringing it into the boardroom. You know, all these legislations are bringing it back into the boardroom, which is, what we need to be focusing on. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing the drivers, and I'd say it's getting more and more. We've just had COP. We're now talking about climate change heavily now. So there's a lot going on regarding the drivers towards this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's also encouraging. I mean, yeah, that's apparently also where we're all heading with the transition. I mean, the difficult as it will be. Anyhow, it's a part of the story, and yeah. Well, what I would actually also maybe link that your answer to is also carbon taxes and trading with carbon permits. Is it something where you see it's more of an opportunity or potentially something more dangerous for companies? What is your assessment on that? What would you advise also for the companies that are eventually, or owners potentially of companies that are watching this video or thinking about how to start working with the information that we hear more and more about carbon tax or carbon permits?
I don't like carbon. I don't like it being traded. I don't like it being offset. Mm-hmm. I don't like, I think it's the wrong thing to be doing. The mm-hmm. best energy is the energy that we don't use. And that is where I think the focus has got to be. Mm-hmm. Whether we take the carbon within our building and we offset it and we sell that and other organizations buy it, I don't think that's the way forward. I haven't got a lot of experience regarding carbon, and the carbon elements of it that I have had experience in hasn't been, I haven't got great stories to talk about it, to be honest with you. But for me, I think organizations need to just focus on reducing their energy contracts mm-hmm. by focusing on their consumption and then bringing in resilience. For me, that's the best approach. If you can't avoid going down that route, then engage with a carbon expert to bring in to focus on that for you, to support you. But ensure you do your due diligence, like everything with energy experts or carbon experts. It's key to do that right due diligence. Mm-hmm.
And in terms of energy efficiencies that are achieved in your projects, and when you do this type of advising or consulting and assessments, what is the type of typical number that you see? Okay, this is how much we were able to reduce the costs for an organization, just to have a number.
So I have got some numbers. So we have, there's 3 areas where we focus on, which is the no cost, medium cost, and the capital cost. Mm-hmm. And I think typically if you're looking at the no cost approaches and focusing on what I call best practice, and I've proven this, you could save 7% of your energy just by looking at best practices within your organization and focusing on people. Mm-hmm. And then your medium cost approach, you're looking at between 10 and 15%. Mm-hmm. But then you're looking at spend to save type approaches. And then you've got your CapEx, could take you into the 20s leading towards 30. Mm-hmm. And if you take the whole complete package, I would be looking at saving organizations 30%.
Okay.
But if they've never done anything towards energy management, it could be higher.
Okay. Okay. So that's some good guidance also for the people on the call or that will watch the replay to get some kind of orientation. Would you like to include or share more information about how else can a business increase their energy efficiency on a daily basis?
So I'll always take organizations back to the 4 principles.
Mm-hmm.
So review your bills, review your people, review your buildings, realign the buildings, your bills, reduce, and then report. As I say, we cannot manage what we don't measure. Start measuring your energy consumption, whether it just be a meter reading on a regular basis, and if you could take a meter reading, turn the meter reading into a graph, don't leave it in a pad.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, when I was researching a little bit also the B2B Energy consulting services, I was just wondering, you also offer help to assess the bills for your clients, aren't you? To check it a little bit and to give them some guidance on what the structure of the cost is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is, I think, a big help, because sometimes it may be confusing if people are not working with it, looking at it on a regular basis. So that's a great starting point. And as we have still a little bit of time, would you like to tell us maybe more about the Aumlink? What is the benefit? Why
I'd love to tell you about Aumlink.
We love to hear more about that. Why should people, and especially energy experts, join Aumlink? And what's the value over there? Maybe you can discuss on that.
Let me just take you back to my mission. So my mission is to bring global energy experts together, sharing the knowledge around the world. I've said to you that we haven't got enough energy experts in the world today. In 2020, when we went straight into lockdown, my LinkedIn activity, I'd started my LinkedIn sort of program and marketing regarding what I was doing, but I found it was opening up. The world shrunk very quickly. Okay, the world shrunk, and I was able to start talking on Zoom, on Teams, with South Africa, with Kenya, with people in sort of China, in Thailand, in America. And we started having these WhatsApp groups, and we started having lots of communications. And those social media is very good for us to share all that knowledge. Social media has algorithms. So I may have 20,000 people following me, but they don't see if Paul Webb says we need to turn off our lights today. Only 25% of the people following me will see that. And there's a lot of restrictions around social media. So what we wanted to do is create a platform for energy experts. Not only that, there's organizations out there that are confused. There's people that are confused about their bills, as you said. There's people confused about what they should be doing. So what we wanted to do is create a platform for not only energy experts, but for also organizations to come on. Aumlink has a forum where you could ask an anonymous question. So you could say, what is an LED? What is a kilowatt hour? What am I trying to achieve? So there can be questions asked like that. There can also be content. We're looking for content contributors to write content. And already we're seeing content coming on where people can come in there and share their knowledge. There's so much talent within the industry that we need to be tapping into that. There's also other angles regarding recruitment. So we have an area on there for recruitment to help people find positions, transition into energy management. We're looking for organizations to be able to find that talent. And already there's been opportunities for recruitment. There's been opportunities for projects as well. So we want to provide projects, we want to provide jobs, and we want to provide knowledge across the industry.
Amazing stuff. So, and this is a worldwide platform accessible basically under under the link aumlink.com or
yeah. I've got that's on my screen currently. It's a very simple Aumlink. If people send me a message direct, I'll explain to them where the word comes from.
That would be wonderful if you can share it. I was just about to ask.
I'm going to leave that to the other founders because they come up with that name. I first wasn't too sure about the name Aumlink, but when they explained to me how it works, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to actually be doing some videos and explaining to people where it actually comes from.
Okay.
So once I found out, I can tell you about the logo. The logo is an amazing story.
Tell us.
So it's Elvira and Danny were sitting down one day trying to design a logo for this. Mm-hmm. And they just come up with all these ideas and kept scribbling it out. And it was just getting very confusing and very frustrating. Mm-hmm. And that's what we think the marketplace is. And that is the outcome of that. Mm-hmm. The logo may change long term, but that was like, we felt that that's the right thing to do. The marketplace is very frustrating. No one knows exactly what they need to do to deliver good energy management. And that is just your mind sort of like in confusion. You're in a flat spin. And that's where that came from.
I think exactly to the point. Exactly to the point, telling it all in one scribbling, basically. So maybe just to, Paul, is there anything else that you would like to share with the community about Aumlink or energy efficiency? Maybe some last words from you to conclude what you would recommend them to always do in terms of to achieve higher energy efficiencies in their business.
I think the best thing organizations can do is just keep it simple. Okay, energy management is a journey. Okay, we can't just go in there. I met so many organizations recently. They said, "Oh, my boss has told me we've got to go and put a load of solar on the roof. We've got to do this. Just take a step back, follow the simple principles. It's a journey. Take your baby steps into going from A to B to achieve where you need to go. Keep it very simple. Don't complicate energy management."
Yeah, thank you very much for your concluding words, Paul. Just maybe to pick a little bit from that sentence, I believe that's also applicable on climate change and the solutions which we are having right now, because some technologies, some methodologies are not perfect, but it's also a little bit the times we're in. We have to take what is there, what is working, where we see the efficiencies being delivered, and improve step by step. And apparently there will be more technology, better, more efficient methodologies coming along the way. So, and that's also to bridge nicely the ending with Frogeex. That's the mission of Frogeex as well. Show the possibilities, show what is available on the market, what is out there, and how to leverage that for the individual categories of sustainable living on this planet, where energy is a big topic. And just maybe what I would like to share in the end, we're going to have different webinars under the umbrella of Frogeex Green Tech Talks. This was the first episode. I mean, a huge pleasure having Mr. Paul Webb, the energy expert, over here talking and sharing with us his experience, his guidance on how to achieve efficiency in business. And yeah, we will have definitely more of such discussions in the coming weeks and months. And I can already share with you that the next one will be around heat management and yeah, also heat pumps, microturbines. Very, very interesting topic as well. So thanks a lot for your attention. Thanks a lot for your time, Paul. All the best with your newest project. I love to see that. Great idea. And yeah, let's do some great things together. And with this, I would just close the call.
Thank you. I just need to let you know there's a team behind me that delivers this every day. So thank you to them, and thank you for the opportunity to let us come to see you today. Thank you.
Great pleasure. So all the best with Aumlink amongst the other projects, and I believe we're going to see each other online anyhow. So yeah, see you another time. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. My name is Jana Skokan, and I'm the co-founder of Frogeex. I'm going to guide you and be with you on the way through the Frogeex Green Tech Talks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.